Okay, everyone, so we're on to the next process. We showed you before on the top ring, and now we're on to the intermediate ring here. This is cylinder number 2. I've already done 6 through 2, so here we are. And wanted to kind of give you an update, because this is very interesting what we've been working with here, and you might think that you're crazy in case you run across this yourself. I'm just going to grab a little feeler gauge here and show you guys kind of what we've seen. So if you look at that gap there, you can tell that that is pretty tight. So it's under, I'm going to say that one's somewhere around 14 or 15 thousandths, maybe a little tighter. Let's see, that one's, yeah, so there's 8. Anyway, so I've been using a set of really fine feeler gauges for checking out most of these. And like we said in the other video, our intermediate ring, we were shooting for about 45 thousandths on the clearance. Now, since then, I've run into this problem. I dropped all these rings, trued them up, and then ran through them with a feeler gauge. And they all spec'd out at about 14 to 16 thousandths of gap, which is way too tight for an intermediate ring. And I said, gosh, something seems off here. And so I stopped on the project, and I took some time, and I called up some people, and then I sent some text messages out, and I did some research, and I got numbers all over the place. And Weston Shoot, he runs Infinite Performance Diesel. He was kind enough to shoot me back a text, and he said, you know, on this motor, what we're looking for, you're probably good between 30 and 35 for a second ring gap. So what we're going to do, we've adjusted our specs a little bit. All of these guys are set to about, and we'll give you a little glimpse there. You can see the difference. That's about 30 to 32 all the way across the board. There's minor variations, but not much. You can tell there's that ring gap. There's that ring gap. No comparison. I mean, these are really tight, really tight. They're tighter than the 18 that our top ring was. So anyway, what we've done is we've gone through, and I just wanted to show you the process here. We've gone through each one of these. We've gotten the ring gap set on this second ring, and I wanted to show you the process. So that's what we start out with, and I'm going to stick it on pause. I'm going to pull this ring out because I need 2 hands to do it, and then I'll show you exactly what we're doing to get this ring gap where we want it. Okay, the next little step here, I want to show you, and this is just what I've observed. If somebody wants to comment in the section below, please add what you've got. I've seen several ways of doing this, and I didn't like what it was doing in this particular block. So after doing a bunch of these and putting them in and out a lot of times on these rings here, what I've done is I've taken my hand, 2 hands, of course I'm videoing with the other right now, but I've taken 2 hands and I kind of grab it all the way around, and I will slide at the same time it's squarely up the bore, till then I can rotate it, compress the ring, and get it out without dragging on the wall. If I tried to rotate it where it's at, they seem to like to drag on the wall, and it's probably not hurting them. I mean, I haven't seen anything that's other than just light surface scuffing, but by golly, this is a beautiful block, and I don't want anything that leaves a mark. So I'm going slow, and I'm just being super ridiculous about pulling them out. Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and lift these guys up out of there, and then we'll go over to the ring gapping tool. Alright, so here we are at the ring gapping tool, and of course I need 2 hands to do this, so, there's the focus. So what I'm going to show you, so this is a ring gapping tool that I picked up. I think these are fairly common. I just got it off of eBay, made sure that it had a diamond stone instead of, you know, just like a flap disc. And what I've done here, and this is most important part, so I have this just mounted on a board, and not super special. I didn't want to mount it to our table because the table that I would mount it to we're going to be getting rid of soon anyway. So it's got a little deck here that you can get things squared up, and I found even pressure is the best. So you want even pressure compressing it. So I kind of start out with it split and then even pressure till they touch. And then the other thing that I found, let me get out of my shadow here. Yes, there we go. So you can kind of see, if I get the ring twisted in there, you can see how the two rings don't line up. And I've noticed it is very picky about this. They do like to get kind of crossways, whomper-jawed in there. So I just make sure that those rings are totally square as I'm doing this, and I've got it pressed kind of up against the stops and down against the deck. And it seems easy, but just to let you know, one side, usually the side with my thumb here, is way more capable at squeezing this ring in than my other fingers over here. So trying to keep even pressure on it is a trick. And what I do is I count my rotations. So if I'm filing and you want to file towards you so that you're not putting a burr, we don't want to file this way because it would drag the material out and leave a burr on that outside edge more than what we want. And of course we're going to clean this up anyway, but we file towards us like that, and that's going to keep the material coming in away from where it rides up and down on the cylinder. And I've got no basis for this, but what I've been doing is I noticed that they don't like to cut evenly on both sides despite my best intentions. So what I do is I'll count, say, 3 revolutions this way. 1, 2, 3. And then I'll take the ring and I'll flip it over, okay? And I'll set it in there like that, and then I'll do 1, 2, 3, so that I'm trying to make sure there's no bias. And then after I've done that, I will take it and this is a Diamond Easy Lap. This is very fine. It's not anything super special. I heard that you can do the same thing with a fine stone, anything like that. So I take this guy and I just barely come in here, and this is carefully, because these things, even though you're doing fine work, if you get away from yourself, so I'll grab it in one hand and then I'll take it and I'll just file those edges off. So I want to hit it on all sides and make sure there's not going to be something that ruins. Let's see if we can get it focused there. Hold on. Yeah, okay. So we're trying to make sure that doesn't leave any burrs on there, that it's got a little bit of a bevel to keep it from messing up a cylinder wall. So that's what I do, and then I take it back up here to the motor. I stick it back in the way, so this is an 03 motor, so the groove goes down. So I'll stick it back in, I'll square it back up with our tool, and then I'll check the gap. Now, I don't know what it is. I'm missing my real set of feeler gauges, so I'm having to use some spark plug gapping thing, but it works. I line it up with the long side here and make sure that I've got my gaps consistent all the way across with what I need. So that's what I do, and I just repeat the process, taking it slow. Don't get ahead of yourself. I'm taking off a lot of material, and I use somewhere between 10 to 15 rotations per side. And of course, I'm staggering those, a couple here and there. I keep flip-flopping it. Anyway, that's intermediate ring, and I'm going to go ahead and file this one, and then I'll bring it back up, and I'll show you the end result here. Okay, we're back, and I did kind of 9 per side, flipping it every 3. And you can probably just, let me see if I can get it in there. Yeah, you can just barely see some of those spots. Oh, come on, focus. Yeah, so you can just barely see there where I took that diamond hone, and I just barely went ahead and took those edges off. And then I took this ring, I wiped it down to make sure that I didn't have any crap or metal filings for when I am putting it back in my bore. So I'm going to go ahead and drop my tools. You know, that's always a fun part of this. I'm going to go ahead and seat that in there, and then I will bring it back as I check it with the feeler gauge. Okay, so here we are again, and I've got my 25 thousandths, and that, 25 thousandths, and it does not, it just barely goes in. So we still have 5 thousandths to go, and just after having done this so many times, there we go. Let's see if I can get that in there now. Okay, so I'm going to take this guy and I'll show you. So there's 25 thousandths. It just barely starts to go in there if I true it up. Just right. It's dragging pretty good. So it's right at 25 thousandths. I need to go probably 5 thousandths more. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy and I will go back to the ring gapping tool. I'm going to do 3 per side, because on these other guys that's my guess of about what's going to put me in the ballpark, and then I'll come back in and check it again. Okay, so we're back in here, and I just did 3 per side. I cleaned the ring up and took the edge off. Now I've switched to my 30, and it's almost, let me get to the side here. Look at that. It's almost perfect to where I want it. So we're shooting for 30. So I'm going to go back, and I'm going to take it, and I'm going to do 1 pass per side and then clean it up, and then check it again and call it good. So we'll go back to the ring gapping tool, and we'll see you in a second. Okay, we're back in here. There's the gap. We're going to move to the side here. There's our 30 thousandths, and it's perfect. Just a little bit of drag. I can run it straight up and down. Just ever so it's probably 31, 32 right now, which is pretty much perfectly in line with the rest of these. So that is the entire process I've been working here. No edits, no nothing. You're not going to get left out. You're not going to go, man, what the crap did he do? Like so many other videos. So that is exactly how it rolls. If you have any questions, you can post them below. And we're going to do this last cylinder real quick, and then we'll move on to the oil control ring. So, or the bottom ring, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, so we're going to be back in this, and hopefully we'll have closer gaps on that that line up a little better with what we were shooting for. This was kind of a long way off from what we're used to. Normally these second rings are super wide, not super tight. Alright, take care, and we'll see you on the next video.